Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another video. Welcome back to Monster Hunter World, and today we're going to be talking about the Behemoth, as well as I'm going to be suggesting you guys a couple of builds that you might want to take with you when you go off against this massive beast from Final Fantasy. Now, one of the important things to keep in mind when it comes to Behemoth is that it is going to feature some very specific mechanics that we have not seen previously in other monsters, such as the meteor mechanic, where there's going to be a meteor, it's going to fall down, and it's going to leave behind a rock, and you're going to have to hide behind that rock when the bigger meteor comes down. So you're basically going to have to line of sight the bigger meteor. And that might be a term that some of you guys are not particularly familiar with, because this is something that we usually use a lot in MMORPG terminology. Now, another mechanic that this encounter has is the mechanic of enmity, which basically means that anyone that hits the Behemoth in the head is going to be basically tanking the Behemoth, which means that the Behemoth is going to focus most of its attacks on the person hitting him in the head. Again, this is a mechanic that we really usually see in MMORPGs. Now, they call it enmity here, but in other MMORPGs it is usually called aggro or threat, depending on which game you're talking about. So these two mechanics are going to make this encounter interesting, in my opinion, and very different from the stuff that we've had before. And at the same time, it also makes this encounter a little bit more appropriate to a party setting. Very much like Cold to Wrath is, in my opinion, a party encounter, and Xeno'jiiva to a lesser extent, as well as definitely Zorah Magdaros, is something that is designed with multiplayer in mind. Again, this is my opinion. You guys might have a different opinion. You guys might enjoy doing those things solo. Me personally, I don't. Like, I don't mind doing just about anything solo, but when it comes to Zorah Magdaros or Xeno'jiiva or Cold to Wrath, it's not even that these encounters are extremely hard or anything like that. I just think they're boring if you're not doing them with friends. You know, again, this is my opinion, and you can have a completely different opinion. And I feel that the Behemoth is going to land on the same situation for me. I might try doing him solo just to see if it's fun or not, but ultimately I think that farming the Behemoth is going to be mostly a party type situation. Now, having said that, the builds that I'm going to recommend, there's going to be one build that I will be using to tank him, and the rest of the builds are going to be different kinds of DPS that you might want to use. So the very first build that I have to suggest for you guys is the Luna Lancer. You guys will be seeing a link on the top right hand side of this video right now to the original video where I go over the Luna Lancer build. And you guys can see the build itself on screen right now as well, if you guys are curious and you want to try out this build. The whole point of this build is that it's got a spear, it's got some guard, and it's got a crap ton of damage as well as blast. It's got a little bit of evade extender to give you some mobility, and I think this is going to be an ideal build to stay all up in the Behemoth's face and keep on tanking the monster for your party. Again, the video that I linked will have much more details in regards to how this build actually works, and this would be my suggested build. This is going to be the build that I myself am going to take in order to tank the Behemoth for the very first time. I might change this build later after I actually face off against him and I identify a couple of things that I would like to change around, and if that is the case, I will then do a follow-up video telling you guys a better build to tank the Behemoth. But naturally, first I gotta fight the actual monster to get a feel for it and see the skills that I think that I need. Now, if tanking's not really your thing and you're more about range damage, then may I suggest the Luna gun build, which I've previously done. There's a link on the top right hand side of the screen right now that you guys can go click and check out the original video. With the difference that on the Luna gun build I used bolt jewels, because that was a build I was focusing on dealing thunder damage. This time around, we're going to be focusing on dealing water damage. So you're replacing all of the bolt jewels with stream jewels to maximize that water damage on the Behemoth, which I've been hearing that is his main elemental weakness. So basically, you're going to dish out a bunch of water damage. You still have the slicing if you want to hit that tail or any other body part. You still have the other shots that you had, but most of your damage is going to be coming in from the water shots. And to top that off, you also got the Rathalos Mastery Critical critical element, the attack boost, and all of the good stuff that you had with the previous build. So this would be what I would suggest if you want to be focusing on damaging the Behemoth from afar. Now this next build is a bit of an all-rounder build, which you can use to either deal some damage or you can actually use it to tank as well. It is an extremely defensive build that also does a decent amount of damage with shelling from the Gunlance. It is the Facebuster build. This is actually a variation on the Facebuster build. You guys can see the original Facebuster build on the top right-hand side right now, and the main difference between the Facebuster build and this one is that this one is going to be using some of the Val Hazak Gamma pieces in order to get the Val Hazak regeneration buff from his set bonus. And the reason why I haven't done an official video on this build yet is because I still don't have all of the artillery jewels that I want, and as such I'm basically forced into using the Lumu Vambrace's Alpha, which is quite frankly a little bit humiliating. Like, seriously game, give me my goddamn artillery gems already, thank you very much. But anyways, this build focuses on you just shelling using white shelling so you can hit the monster wherever you want. Doesn't matter if it's a weak spot or not, you're going to deal a significant amount of damage. And it also uses a lot of defensive by having earplugs, by having recovery up, recovery speed. It also has got tier 3 guards, so it can be used both for tanking as well as dishing out damage. So it's a very good all-rounder build, can fill both roles when it comes to the Behemoth fight or any other fight in the game. This is, to me, one of the best builds that I have right now. Even with the Lumu Vambraces, it is super powerful, super tanky, and still deals a ton of damage. And finally, the last build that I'm going to suggest is going to be the Thud on the Table. Once again, link on the top right-hand side of this video. And the Thud on the Table is a build that focuses on using a really heavy hitting Charge Blade and spamming Super Amped Elemental Discharge as much as you can. Now, this is the exact same build that is on the video that I linked. And again, it focuses on dealing as much damage as possible, but it comes with an added bonus. So this particular Charge Blade has impact files, which basically if you hit the Behemoth's body, it is going to exhaust him and tire him down. And if you're able to get your files to actually hit the head of the Behemoth, hopefully without stealing aggro from your tank, you're going to also be dealing knockout damage, which could potentially KO the monster and give your party more openings to dish out damage. So ultimately, I think that with a monster that is going to be getting tanked by somebody else, because this is not the build that I would use for tanking, so optimally it will be getting tanked by someone using a lance or something of that nature, and then you basically have all the openings that you could possibly want so that you can hit him wherever you want, and it should be fairly easy for you to land as many of the files as possible. Therefore, this just is the obvious choice for me. Now, if you want to get other damage builds, I also have the Critical Chop build that you can look that up on the channel, or any build in the channel that is dedicated to pure damage is probably going to work on him, so long as it doesn't rely on a specific elemental affinity. Anyway, these are some of the builds that I'm going to be testing out as soon as the Behemoth drops later today. What about you guys? What are you guys thinking about taking? Leave it in the comment section below. If you guys enjoy my videos, remember, hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so that you're actually notified of all of my videos. At this point, you will have 2 video suggestions on screen that you guys can go and check out. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.